Hi, everybody. John Harris here with you for week 18 of NFL picks with my friend pal Billy here on From the Cheap Seats, a division of Public John Media. Division. It just sounds better. It sounds cool. And Bill and I are here to pick our last regular season picks of the year for this NFL season. And this is probably the trickiest week of the year outside of maybe week one every season because this is where some people have made the playoffs. They're not playing anybody. You still have some injuries in key positions. So it's a tricky situation here. And some of the picks that Vegas has made reflect that. And we'll dive into that in a minute. But I do want to mention our sponsor before we get going because there could be enough discussion that all of a sudden it could be gone from my side, or Bill might have to nudge me and go, "Hey, Johnny." So let's talk about my friend Dennis and Graldi over at Vineland Realty Corporation. They are at 634 East Landis Avenue in Vineland, New Jersey, and they can handle all your residential, commercial, business, real estate needs, whether you want to rent a house or an apartment, lease something, lease it out, rent it out, or whether you want to sell or buy. Uh, whether it's business, whether it's residential, contact Dennis and his folks down at 634 East Landis Avenue in Vineland. It's the Vineland Realty Corporation. Their phone number is 856-690-9482. Give them a call and let them know you heard about them from us here at From the Cheap Seats with Public John Media. We thank Dennis and the crew down there for all their support over the last year. If you see Dennis's quote unquote gal Friday, I named her, it's Helen. Go see her, tell her we said hello, and uh, just have some fun. Dennis and that crew will have some fun with you. They'll talk to you too, and if they can't help you specifically, they have resources where they will steer you in the right direction as well for whatever your real estate needs are. So it's Vineland Realty Corporation, 634 East Landis Avenue, 856-690-9482. Thanks, Dennis. Thanks, Helen. Thanks to the whole crew down there at Vineland Realty Corporation. They let me and Bill ramble on about stuff, and because of them, we can do that. So,
Yeah,
so if
thank
you're
you,
ready,
Dennis.
Bill, with Dennis's blessing and everybody down there, we will dive right in. We'll go into a brief review of last week and where we stand, and then we'll make this week's picks because I'm sure some of that will generate discussion. And don't forget, we're not just a football show, or not just an NFL football show, I should say. Um, there is a big game Monday night for the NCAA championship, and we'll probably have a quick discussion about that for you as well and make a pick on that for you. So after week 17, after last week, Bill's record last week, I think he struggled in one aspect, but not the other. In picks, Bill was 12-4. Woo! Kicked ass, buddy. We both had a pretty good week on picks, but you struggled against the spread, and you were 6-10. A couple of them were real close. I went back and looked at two. I thought two were going to be pushes, but they weren't. That half a point reared its ugly, stinking head. So, tough week there on that part. And of course, over under. Billy just doesn't care about over under much. I don't think. I really don't. I mean, he was 6-10
No
all season long. I've looked at
points
it.
left now.
Yeah, you don't even care about over under at this point. It's win, lose, and spreads and stuff like that. So I think Bill would tackle over under if he was going to bet over under on something. Other than that, I'm with you, Bill, because any good
Well,
defense, a defensive takeaway or anything like that, a scoop and score or pick six, anything can change a point spread so drastic in the NFL that it's crazy.
yeah, I think it was two games last week. One was, I think it was Pittsburgh when they could have scored and they just dropped down
And
at
they,
the
and that's the other
3 yard
part.
line,
Yeah, they just
and
sat down.
that would have
Football
put the
wise, it's
over.
smart, but you're like, come on. One time I saw one, I was kick the field goal. Come on. Yeah, nope.
Yeah,
And then and let's face it, people with the Lions game, they had to be screaming, you know. So, uh, but football wise, I like Dan Campbell's attitude. But I don't know if the
Yeah.
third time I'd have went for it. The first,
Nah, you gotta get six.
the third time, I think you got to kick the PAT and go to overtime. So, but meanwhile, I was right exactly with Bill. Um, 12-4 on picks. I had a better week against the spread somehow. Don't ask me how. I was 11-5. A couple last minute scores did help me on that one. And exactly 8-8 on over under. So I'm not setting the world on fire on over and under either. I think we're real close with that one. What that does for the season is Bill with his picks, it was 162 and 104. Is at 60%, buddy. Congratulations. You got it up to 60.5 actually. And there's a reason I actually took it to 60.5, and you'll know in a minute. Against the spread, Bill is 150, 118 with 13 pushes against the spread. And that's an indication with 13 pushes during the season of how close some of these teams are. I mean, it's crazy. But still got you to 56 percent. And over under, you were 138 and 123. So still with 7 pushes for the season so far, you're still over 50% at 52.9%. Meanwhile, you're edging me out just a little bit on picks. I'm at 158, 108. So I'm at 59.3%. That's why I broke it down, because if you rounded them up, they looked close for a minute. Well, they were. So, but you've got me by a little over 1 percentage point. So this is a big week on the regular straight up picks, buddy. Against the spread, this is the one, Bill, that is interesting as heck. You are, like we said, 150, 118, and 13. I am 152, 116, and 13. You're because of the pushes and 2 extra, really it's like a game and a half. You're at 56%. I'm at 57. It's that close. And I think
Oh
it's
shit.
less than that. I think you're at 56.9 maybe, and I might be at 57.3. So that's how close it is. We're which tells you that both our systems work. We're almost at 60% against Vegas. So everybody, you got to remember, it's not just head to head. We're picking against Vegas's odds. So we're doing all right. Over under, this is close too. Wait till you hear this one. 141, 120, and 7. So, Bill, you are at 52.9%. I am at 52.4%. We are within 1/2 of a percentage point, buddy, of on over under. So even though I'm saying Bill doesn't do real good, it's obvious I'm not setting the world on fire with over under either, right? But again, we're still over 50%. You might not have got rich, but you wouldn't have lost money. You'd have made a few bucks on us, even on over under. So no matter which way you go, we're helping you out, folks. Plus, we give you last minute up to the date stuff. So, Bill, this is a big week for us if we give a crap. That's the worst part. This is the worst week if we have a tie or so close like this for somebody to try and break the tie. If you and I bet against each other on this, it'd be like, is this really the week that's going to decide who gets what money? Because this week is terrible as far as predictability.
I definitely wouldn't be betting folks on this week. Let's
Yeah,
put it that way.
if you can avoid betting any of the games, because so many of them have either playoff implications, or they don't, yeah, which could be anything from we don't want this guy hurt to this team's got to win, or this team's got it wrapped unless they lose. So many things, folks. So do yourselves a favor. If you can stay away from, I would recommend, if you ever want to stay away from betting for a week, this is the week.
Yep.
So, especially this season, it's a strange week. So we'll start it off. You ready, pal? Pick wise?
I'm ready.
I'm trying to look to see if there were any glaring picks from last week that we both struggled on. Of course, who knew the Detroit game would go the way it did? Um, the Tampa Bay game, of all times to bite the bullet, Tampa
I
Bay.
told you every time I take Tampa.
Yep. Yeah, yeah. If you take Tampa this week, I'm changing my pick, I think. You took Tampa. Screw that. Um, we all lost Indy versus Vegas. No, you won that game as a straight up pick, but you thought Vegas would cover. And of course they didn't. I took Vegas across the board, so I took the big choke. Um, and Seattle and Pittsburgh, we both kind of took the beating on that one. And of course, we took the beating on Kansas City, though I did stay with the point spread. No, I didn't. I lost. Right.
No, you
Lost.
took Kansas across the
Yeah,
board. I had the Chargers.
you had the Bengals.
I mean the Bengals.
Yeah. Uh, that was about it. The big one for me was the last one, Green Bay. You took Minnesota, and I took Green Bay, and of course
Yeah,
Green Bay.
Minnesota. Minnesota poo-pooed a bit there.
Yeah. Well, they went with that third string quarterback for Minnesota, and I think that hurt you. Mullins is back in. He's one of the notes this week. They're putting Mullins back in this week. So here we go. You ready, pal? Let's
Yes,
do this.
ready to be.
Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Baltimore sitting Lamar Jackson. And Mason Rudolph is starting for Pittsburgh, even though Pickett's back, he's healthy, he'll be the number 2. But because Mason Rudolph has played very well, and they actually put points on the board when he's in there, which Pittsburgh hadn't done all season. It's like he's got a new life, maybe. And I think this is a big game for Rudolph's career. Because if he can,
Yeah, absolutely.
whether it's backup or not, if they can put up points against Baltimore, who still has a pretty good defense, I think really good defense. If they can put up points against them, I think 2 things will happen. One, he could be, you never know. You know Mike Tomlin, he could be a starter in Pittsburgh still, if they like what he's doing with this offense. If not, there's a chance he could be a starter somewhere else. So I think this is a big week for him.
Yeah, there's a lot of jobs out there. So
Yep. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of quarterback jobs. I think, or even if he goes as a backup, it might be for a pretty good check. He could raise his salary value as well. So Pittsburgh's picked by 3, over unders 34.5. I've picked everything unless we change while we're chatting, but I took Pittsburgh. I took the over. I think 34.5 is a little low. Plus, I think if Pittsburgh wins, they are going to have to score points.
yeah, I took the over also with this game, but I'm going to take the Ravens. It's still a division game. Ravens are sitting some players because the game doesn't mean anything to them.
Right.
But
But it is a division.
I don't think but I don't think the Ravens want the Steelers in it. So I'm going to take the Ravens.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. There's a couple games that are like that. And if Pittsburgh does win it, they could be a little bit of a dangerous team. They could be a team you don't want to see. They'll have won at least 3 in a row going into it. And if they win it and score points, you're like, hey, their offense isn't really a scrub offense anymore. So that's a good point. Houston and Indy, this is probably the closest one of the day. It's a 1.5 point spread for Houston to win. 47.5 is the over under. I took Houston. Last, still up to the minute, is Trevor Lawrence, or what am I thinking? Trevor Lawrence. I'm looking at the wrong thing. So yeah, Stroud's playing. He played pretty well last week. It's in Indy. The winner of this one will go to the playoffs. So there's a lot on the line. There's a chance that the winner of this one wins the division, depending on what Jacksonville does. So I took Houston. I took the under. I think it could be like a 24-20 game, and it's 47.5 points. Indy's got a good defense, and Houston's isn't bad either. I'm going with the under, but I took Houston across the board.
All right. Yeah, this is a coin flip. And if it's a coin flip, I'm going to go with my team. So I'm going to take the Colts here, the underdog at home, and I'm going to take the over.
Okay. Yep. Home dog and the over. Got you.
I can see it being like a 28-24 game. So
And you could be right. It could be right. I like both quarterbacks. I like what Stroud's doing. And I've always liked Minshew. He's just a
yeah,
gutsy SOB, man.
and
Uh
this is Stroud's biggest game as a rookie. So that
yes.
kind of
Biggest game of his
uh,
career. So I guess
so
we'll
that
see what he's made of here.
yeah, that could hurt him. So
Yep.
I'll go with the Colts.
Okay. Jacksonville over Tennessee over under 41.5. They're picking Jacksonville by 3.5. I took Jacksonville across the board. Only way I would get a hold of you and post a change would be if Trevor Lawrence doesn't play. But at 3.5, I still think they win the game. But Tennessee wants to win it, and they want to win it bad. But I just don't know if Trevor Lawrence is going to play. Last I saw, he was still questionable. He didn't practice Thursday, which is usually a bad sign as far as playing.
Yeah, I think they need him in there to win. To be honest with you, even though he hasn't played well this year, I still think he's a better quarterback than Beathard.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But I'm the same thing. I'm taking Jacksonville across the board in the over.
Okay.
You taking the over or under?
Yes, I took the over. I'm sorry. I thought 41.5 was a little low. I know Tennessee
Yeah,
doesn't score a lot of points, but Jacksonville kind of does. So, uh, biggest game of the day for Tampa, at least. This one's got the division on the line. 37.5 points is the over under. Tampa Bay and Carolina, they are picking the Bucks by 4.5. Now here's the rub is Baker Mayfield, last we knew, is still questionable. He's quote unquote trending to play. And of course, he's gutsy. So, if he can play, he will. But he's got beat up ribs that he suffered last game, which made him come out of that game. And a lot of people think it's why they lost the game. But they're facing Carolina, who is like, if I was living with you, would be like Elwood High. they're my favorite line. They're not good.
yeah,
No. You feel bad for that kid Young, because he got thrown into a mess, but whether they build up around him, who knows? The owner's a terrible football guy, and he keeps putting meddling in as well. But I guess when you got 200 billion, you don't care. He's the guy that threw water on a fan last week in a visiting arena and got fined 300,000. And it's like you or me giving somebody $5. To him, it's nothing. Uh, so obviously, to me, this all hinges on whether Baker is going to play. But last I knew, he was questionable, quote unquote, trending to play. He'll just be playing a little bit of pain. The only problem is going to be if he gets hit a couple times.
yeah.
Is he going to be able to stay in? But I'm thinking he will. So I am going to take I'm taking the under though. Tampa Bay doesn't put up 1,000,000 points. Carolina doesn't score any. Even though it's 37.5, which is low, I think it could be like a 20-10 game, 17-7 game. But I still think Tampa Bay is going to win. I think they're going to cover.
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay's gonna win easily, even with or without Baker.
Baker.
And I'm going to take the over because I think they want to make a statement. Going into the playoffs, I think they want to score some points.
Yeah, he's got
Buccaneers
weapons.
across the board and the over.
Gotcha. Minnesota, Detroit. Minnesota's going back to Nick Mullins. Detroit lost a heartbreaker last week. And whether you believe the NFL screwed them or not, it doesn't matter. It's still a loss. I personally believe they did get screwed. But it's nothing you can do about it. It's over.
That with that being said, it could have been multiple calls on that play, like illegal
Yeah.
formation.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what they said
He's
too. It's even if it wasn't this, It still was that
So I,
because
mean, I
somebody
don't.
wasn't
They were
covered.
saying something. They talked to the refs before the game. But if they're, it's. I don't think that comes into play. It's like at that moment is what you got to play for.
Well,
I don't.
well, here's the other part. They got the break when it failed, but Parsons lined up off sides again. So after two times, I think you kick the PAT and go to overtime.
Absolutely,
So no
absolutely.
matter what, at the end of the day, a head coach has got to throw away his emotions and make the right decision. Here's
Right.
the catch, though. Here is a little bit of a rub if you think about it. The Parsons line, the Lions got the 5 yard penalty, right, for illegal touching or whatever. So that takes it from, I think it's the 3 back to the
Number
8,
two, yeah, two to the 7,
2 to the 7. Then
2 to 7.
Parsons lines up off sides. Well, you don't get 5 yards back. You
Yeah,
only
you
get
don't get it back.
half the distance. So
Maybe three
instead
and a
of
half yards,
at
I
the
guess.
2, you're going to like 3.5, almost 4 yards away. That's the other key to me is, all right, that's too far really for me to try and go for a 2 point conversion. I think that's the other part of kick the PAT. But boy, you got to sit back and wonder, is there a fairness issue there? You're kind of getting screwed on that half the distance part. But
Yeah.
that's a rule. That has nothing to do with the referees on the field. But that's also the time when you say, all right, we got to kick the PAT. And you have momentum. You just went down and scored a touchdown.
Yeah. Right. I
So
mean, you might win the coin flip,
you
and
might win the coin flip, take it down, score a touchdown again, and win the game. Or you could
Mhm.
lose the coin flip and get lucky. Your defense isn't bad. You might get a pick six. You might
Yeah.
hold them to a field goal, then you go down, score a touchdown. So a lot of things can happen there, and I think he should have kicked the PAT. So the bad call
Absolutely.
notwithstanding, as you said, as you would like to say. That being said, this game, Minnesota starting Mullins, that's a big difference. Though he's looks like a little interception prone, but it looks like it's from trying to do too much. I think if he got with a team that is desperate for a quarterback and has a decent quarterback coach or coordinator, they could take him and show him how maybe to cut down on turnovers or be a little bit less of a gunslinger. Because otherwise, he's had good numbers,
Yeah.
uh, good yardage, good completion percentage. So, um, however, all of that being said, which was probably too much, over under is 45.5. Detroit's picked by 3.5. I'm going with the Lions. I think it's a huge game for them, momentum wise as well. They have the division, but I don't know if they can move up a seed. But I think they want to. They're starting and
Yeah.
playing everybody.
Yeah. I'm not sure if they can move up. I mean, they're 11-5, and Eagle or Dallas is 11-5 also, right?
Well, I think there's a chance if Dallas somehow loses, Philly
Yeah.
wins, Detroit might be a higher seed than Philly.
Right.
If
Yeah.
because if Philly wins and Dallas loses, that's the NFC East. But
Right.
I took Detroit and the over.
All right. I took Detroit in the over, but I'm going to take the 3.5. I think just in case
Okay.
Minnesota, because Minnesota still has a shot, a slim shot, but they still
Slim,
have a
but you're
shot.
right. But they're playing for their playoff lives. Yeah.
So yeah, so I'll take the 3.5.
Okay. Desperate teams. Atlanta goes to New Orleans. Over unders 42. The Saints are picked by 3. This is one where you almost want a 3.5 or a 2.5 just to make up your mind.
Yeah, yeah. This will probably end up being a push. Um,
The winner wins the division if Tampa Bay loses. If Atlanta loses, they're done. Believe it or not,
right.
there's like 3 scenarios left that even if New Orleans loses, they could slip into the last seed. It will take a lot. It would take
Yeah,
like a lot of moving parts and a lot of upsets, I think, but there is a slim chance New Orleans wins the division. I took the Saints
yeah.
across the board. I took the under. I just something these two teams don't score a lot of points. So I took the under, take a chance. But yeah, the winner wins the division if Tampa Bay loses. Atlanta's out if they lose completely. New Orleans would be grasping for straws, but I think they want to keep that grasp. I think New Orleans wins this, and I think they cover.
Yeah, I like this. I think the Saints are the better team here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take the Saints across the board, and I'll take the over.
Okay. There we go. Cleveland, Cincinnati. That young rookie sensation, Joe Flacco, is sitting. Cleveland's locked in. They got nothing to play for. It wouldn't surprise me if the rest of the offense is only out there for a quarter, maybe even less. And then they're gone. They're sitting. Cincinnati's out of it, but their quarterback, Browning, probably needs to have a nice showing to maybe if he doesn't stay there, land somewhere else or something. Give them credit. They were in the hunt a lot longer once Joe Burrow went down than anybody thought. This kid did well, but I think the league's kind of catching up to him a little bit. 37.5 is the over-under. Cincinnati is picked by 7. So that'll tell you how much everybody thinks of Cleveland's backup situation.
I thought Bengals were +7 now.
No, I looked this morning. I'll double check it, but it had because it shocked me when I saw it. But I think it's because Cleveland's sitting Flacco and everybody else, or not everybody else, but you know what I mean. But let's double check,
Yeah,
as they say.
I could have just wrote it down.
That's all right. Hey, things happen. How many times have I done it this season? A lot. Where are you, odds? I don't. Here we go. Oh, it's now it's going to fight me, right? Where did you go? How to bet? First, put your money down. Then, I mean, after that, first say this is how much. Second, better have the money. B, if you don't have the money, have a plane ticket in your hand and be ready to leave the country because you're done. You're toast. And of course, now it's going to fight me as far as being able to get back to the odds. So I'll try a different thing here. Here we go. We are looking for Cleveland, Cincinnati, right?
Yes.
NFL. Here we go. Yeah, Cincinnati's favored by. You're right. Cincinnati's favored by 7.
No, Cincinnati is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I took Cincinnati to win. I took Cleveland to cover. I think it might be a closer game than 7, only because the division thing and everybody does that. It's in Cincinnati. So I took Cincinnati to win, Cleveland to cover, and the over 37.5.
All right. I did the same thing, but I took the under
Okay.
because Cincinnati's out of it. Jamar Chase may not play. I mean,
That's true.
know.
Yeah, that's true. Because he's been dinged up too. And isn't Higgins out now or something?
And Higgins could be out yet.
Yeah. So, and this week's entry into the Why Bother Playing It Bowl, the Jets and the Patriots. 30.5 is the over under. That right there should tell you it's an insult. The Patriots are picked by 2.5, probably because the Jets are starting Trevor. How is he still in the league? Simeon. New England is starting Bailey. I'm getting another shot, Zappy. But 30.5 is still too low for me in an NFL game. Too many things could go wrong. New England has shown some energy lately or something. This could be the last game as a Patriot head coach for Bill Belichick. So I guess we could see how much his players like him. I'm taking New England across the board and over 30.5. I think 30.5 is just way too low for any NFL game.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Jets offense a little better than I do New England, and so I'm going to take the Jets in an upset and the over.
Jets in an upset and the over.
And this will put Belichick out of his misery.
Yeah, that's true. Especially if he loses to the Jets. That's the only thing is, he still has. I still think after all these years, he still has a hard on for beating the Jets. I really do. Uh, even though I don't understand the reason because he's the one that dumped them.
Yeah.
Technically head coach for a day before he left and went to New England. Reneged on his deal, but it is what it is. History. Speaking of that, though, when you said about the Jets, I thought it was interesting this week, and I didn't know you could do it this late in the day. You could release a guy, but they released Dalvin Cook, and then Baltimore signed him.
Yeah.
Now that's the one thing I'll say Baltimore might have is you might see a heavy dose of Dalvin Cook because they may, if they're going to use him at all, try to get him acclimated to the offense. And for this is almost like a preseason game for him. Here's a chance to show what I can do. And he's going to have to learn Baltimore's offense if he's going to be any type of usable piece in the playoffs. I don't blame Baltimore for going out and getting him. I don't know how much they pay. A lot of people thought
No, but I think
Cleveland.
he's definitely an upgrade over Melvin Gordon. So
Yes, yeah, because that's the one area where Baltimore's got some issues is running back because of injuries. So, but yeah, I think Hall came back sooner than everybody expected for the Jets and was really good. So I just didn't think you could do it that late to give a guy to a possible playoff team. I thought that might be, but who knows? They did it. So, so I've got you down for the Jets in the over. I took New England in the over in the annual. There's always one. Why bother playing this game bowl? And I guess it's because it's a division game too. Plus, the two teams hate each other. So,
Yep.
Speaking of two teams hating each other, we'll segue correctly into Chicago and Green Bay at Lambeau Field. Packers picked by 3.5 to 45-point over under. Green Bay can get into the playoffs with a win. Actually, if they win, they will be in the playoffs. You could put a bunch of other scenarios to rest if they win. I'm going with under 45, but I am taking Green Bay and Green Bay to cover.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
Okay. Chicago's been playing a lot better, and a lot of people are thinking if Fields doesn't play this game well, then he could be out and the Bears will draft somebody. This game is big for him, but they've got injuries in the receiving core. He doesn't have a whole lot of support, this kid. So
yeah, I
if
think
they
what's
win
going to
it,
happen.
yeah,
I think what's going to happen here is I think they're going to trade their first round pick for some reason. They're
they
the number
should.
one pick overall.
I think they should. I think
Fields
Fields
has the
may not have
experience
looked.
now.
Yeah, he's
Just
comfortable.
just
If you trade him, no matter what you do, you're starting all over again. And if you take a look at the last third of the season, they've played pretty well. So I think you're right. You trade the pick, get another weapon or two around him, and get another thing to shore up the defense. Because if they trade the pick, they're going to get a boatload. They could get a lower first round pick, maybe another one for the next year, or you take the one, you still have yours, because it's really Carolina's pick that they have,
Right.
and get 2 second rounders. So a lot of people are thinking first rounder, 2 seconds, and a third. If they're smart, I think that's what they do. Because I think Fields has shown that he's not bad. He's okay. He's pretty good. He's mobile, which is the way to go these days with your quarterback. He's tough. He's gotten beat up a lot, but they're legitimate getting pounded injuries. And that's where
Right.
that's where Chicago should use the draft picks or whatever and get protection for him. You know,
Yeah. I think if they trade Fields, they're only gonna get a second and a fourth, maybe. So I mean,
right.
I think you got more value in trading the number
And
one overall
and
pick.
yep. And to me, he's good enough that you keep him, make him your franchise guy because they're hard to come by.
Right.
Uh, otherwise, like we said, if you draft a new quarterback and trade him, you're really starting all over again.
Yeah.
You
And
really are.
that Williams kid is already saying where he don't want to play and everything. So you get somebody like that, it's not
Yeah, you get an
graceful wherever he
attitude, and
goes.
yeah, you don't
Yeah.
want that. So, of course, they're saying there's other quarterbacks too, and it's a quarterback heavy draft. So, I think you go. Here's the interesting part now with all this NIL money. There's quarterbacks that I would say second round or lower who may decide I'm not going to come out. I'm going to go ahead and play for Washington, or I'm going to play for University of, because I'm getting paid right now and I'm getting to play and I get another season to showcase my talent. Now there's always that injury risk, always, but there's always that in football anyway. That's going to happen a lot more in football and basketball. There's already people as a sports aside, but it connects to the NFL, saying that Caitlin Clark from Iowa, the NCAA women's basketball player, who is just a beast, a monster, would do better. She's eligible and will be a senior. She's a fifth year. Would be better off applying for graduate status at Iowa, staying there another season, because she'll make more money doing that than she would going to the WNBA. Because the WNBA is, as far as pro leagues, is not a great paying league. It's why some of those players do go overseas in the off season and play in other pro leagues. It's really why Brittany, I can't remember her last name, got snagged in Russia with pot. She was over there playing in a Russian league. They go over tournaments and leagues almost because they have to, because they've gotten their standard of living to a certain point, and the WNBA doesn't pay them enough. But you can see where they can't. I'm sure they don't get the attendance. They're just getting some TV coverage the last 4 or 5 years on ESPN, but arenas don't exactly sell out, like they do in the NBA, which is a shame. I like watching women's college basketball. Sometimes it's more fun than men's, and more fun to watch in the NBA. So, and she's a monster. She's a beast. But that comes back to football too. You get these guys that are pretty good and they're making that licensing money and booster money, which is all legal now. And they may decide, you know what, I'm going to stay here. I got another paycheck for another year, pretty good one. And let's face it, there's going to be a lot of these folks that they will make their lifetime money, their income for life in the college game and may never make it into pros, but they've made enough that they can survive by playing college ball. So I think that's where a team like Chicago is going to have to say, if we can't get the number one guy, or like you said, you get the number one guy like Williams going, I don't want to go here, I don't want to go there, I don't want to go here. Not the first time that's happened. Eli Manning did it.
No, yep.
John Elway was probably the most famous one. He did it by not going to Baltimore or Indianapolis at the time, saying, you know what, I'll just go play baseball. And then they said, well, if we're not going to get nothing for him, let's trade his value. And Denver got him. So it's not the first time. I think you're right. I think you keep Fields, you build around him, take those trade that draft pick and take those assets. And you don't know if they're going to work out, but you got to make that effort, I think, for your team.
Yeah, I think so too.
So that being
And
said,
you might only have to trade. I mean, somebody in the top five might trade you, so you still could get like a Marvin
you still
Harrison
could get a
Jr.
real nice draft pick. Yeah, because those top
You
five
know,
teams are top five for a reason.
yeah,
And that reason could be quarterback. So they may want to move up and make sure they get somebody like Williams, or it could be a lower team in the draft who is better, but think we can upgrade at quarterback. If we had a really good quarterback, I mean, Pittsburgh might be one of them if they don't like Pickett and they think Rudolph is a flash in the pan or not starter material. Say, all right, we got to go out and get somebody else.
yeah,
You look at New Orleans, are they happy with Carr? Is Baker really the guy in Tampa, or do they want to get somebody for the future? You just don't know. You look at older guys that could retire. I mean, Flacco's having the time of his life, but let's face it, Watson recovers next year. Flacco's probably back to number 2.
yeah.
But Denver, what are they going to do? Denver's in that top 5 or 6 teams probably, but you move up and say, hey, we want this guy.
Yeah, the Raiders.
The Raiders, yep. Minnesota, though I do see that they're thinking of signing Kirk Cousins long term. They realize here's the one time you don't wish injury on anybody, but now that he's gone because of injury, you're sitting back and you're struggling. You're going, apparently he was better than we thought.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know if he'll get long term, but I think he would get a 2 year, like 35 a year thing. Yeah, he could
Okay,
get
I
2 years.
saw long term, but long term in the NFL
Only
could be a
because you don't
year.
know coming off the injury, you don't know.
Plus, he's
And
older.
it's, yeah, and he's
They might,
older. I think
yeah,
he's
you might give him a year, like you said, a year or 2, show that you're healthy, and then extend him after that if you want. Not like he hasn't been on the franchise tag before.
oh yeah, and the best receiver in football wants him back, so that
And
helps too.
and you don't play with that. Don't play with that because he's by far the best receiver in football. It's not even close right now. So, all that being said, we both took Green Bay in the under.
Yes.
Kansas City at LA to face the Chargers. It's a 35-point over under. That kind of surprises me, but the more I think about it, I guess it doesn't. The Chargers are picked by 3.5 because Kansas City is sitting Mahomes. I think Kelsey's going to play long enough to get it. He needs 16 more yards to have a 1,000-yard season for consecutive years. So it wouldn't surprise me if he plays long enough for them to get that. Andy Reid, I think, wants him to have it. He said he doesn't care, but I think Reid wants him to have it. So, and a couple other guys have incentives. Gabbert has looked okay. And if anybody could have fixed any problems that Gabbert has had, I will say that's Andy Reid and his staff with quarterbacks. So I think they want to see what he can do in a full game anyway, in case something does happen to Mahomes down the line. The Chargers are still, a lot of people, they're playing tougher, but they're gonna revamp everything. Now, sometimes that interim head coach, we can win the end of the season bump is strong emotionally. I think the Chiefs want to go out and prove some stuff. So I'm taking the over because I think 35 is low anyway for any NFL game. I'm going to take the Chiefs across the board, but it's a little risky, but I'm going to take them across the board anyway. And that's an upset. So that's really my upset pick.
Yeah, I did the same thing. Chargers are just Chargers right now.
Yeah,
The
without
Chiefs,
Herbert.
I mean, the Chiefs aren't playing well. Even without Mahomes, I think Gabbert could get the job done. So
Yeah, I do too.
I think, yeah, I just can't take the Chargers playing the way they are.
No. Now, if Herbert was there and they were playing him, I would
Yes.
take the Chargers in this game all day long now.
Yeah.
But you're right. He's out. And then Of course, next season, who knows with that team? Is that where Belichick's going to go? Is that where Harbaugh's going to go? That's another interesting tidbit, you know? So Dallas and Washington in the nation's capital. Dallas is picked by 13. The over-under is 47. I took Dallas to win. I think Washington's going to put up a fight because they know it's probably Ron Rivera's last game. I don't think they'll win it. I think Dallas will win it. But I think Washington may give them a fight. It's one of two things. It's either going to be a really, really good game, but it's not going to be a mediocre. It's either going to be a really, really tight game, or Dallas is just going to blow them out. Washington won't blow Dallas out, but Dallas could blow Washington out if they've decided they didn't just pack their bags, their golf clubs. They packed them weeks ago, and now they're grabbing their badminton rackets. You know, they're going out to play pickleball next week. They're done.
Yeah.
They're toast. And a lot of their guys are going to be done because you got a new owner who's going to want his own people. So it wouldn't surprise me if we hear Monday that Ron Rivera's gone. It
Yeah.
might even happen lately. It might even happen Sunday after the game.
Yeah.
So
Um,
if it's a rout, it will. If they fight and it's closer, they might come in, have a chat with him, and say, we've decided to part ways instead of we're letting him go.
yeah.
But I took the over. I think Washington will hang in there, but it could be, 28, 24, 30, 27.
I think the only thing that scares me here is Cowboys on the road, where they aren't good. But
You use my line, kind of. Yeah, they're not on the road. They're not good. And it's
I
going
just
to be
think,
shitty weather.
it's gonna be most likely rain. So I mean,
Yeah.
but still, I just think Washington just packed it in. I think so. I'm gonna lay the 13 and take the Cowboys across the board and the over.
Okay. The other part of that, I had it in my head. Dallas does need to win to clinch the NFC East.
Right.
If they lose and Philly wins the NFC East. So it's just that simple. It's all in Dallas's hands, really. Because even if Dallas wins, even if Philly wins, it's done. Dallas has, because of beating Philly. So, and of course, because the Eagles choked against Arizona. But speaking of Arizona, we segue in immediately to Seattle going to Arizona. Seattle is playing for a playoff spot. They are picked by 3, and the over-under is 48. I took, just for fun, here's the real upset pick. I took Arizona. It's been bugging me for days, and I don't know why. I even said, no, logically, take Seattle. Take Seattle. Take Seattle. Then I went Seattle, Arizona to cover, field goal. Seattle wins by 2. I even said, and I'm thinking it's really going to be a push. Finally, in the end, I said, you know what? I'm supposed to be playing eye test. I'm the guy who plays with his gut. I've talked myself out of shit all season long, and it's cost me. And I said, screw it. My first instinct is to take Arizona. So I'm taking Arizona across the board. I am taking the under. I think if Arizona is going to win, it's going to have to be under that 48.
Yeah, this was one of the games I was undecided, but Seattle still has a slight shot at the playoffs. So I'll take the Seahawks in the desert and the over.
That is the
This could
solid pick,
this
my
could
friend.
yeah this could be 30-24 game, I think. So yeah, so
Yeah.
Seahawks in the over.
And in the end, you're probably right. And I'm going to go, what an idiot. Because I am fighting everything. Seattle's got more
Yeah,
weapons.
yeah. I mean, I could base it off last week's win, but for Arizona, but
I
I don't
didn't
know.
do that completely, but what I did do is say, well, Arizona does have a running game between Murray being able to run and Connor running well, they do have a little bit of a running game, which could take some of the time away from Seattle if they get that going. Which is why the other reason I went with the under is, time wise, if Arizona can run the ball, might take a lot of time off the clock too. So there we go. We got a difference there. That's good. Philly and the Giants. Philly's picked by 5.5. The over under is 42. I took Philly to win the game. I have so much white out and cross out lines on the spread. I got Giants, but the Eagles will only win by 3. So Giants will cover. Then I'm like, no, it'll be a touchdown. Still fairly close. Touchdown. Eagles win by more than 7, by more than 5.5. That's eventually what I went with. I took the over 42. I think it's going to be like 27, 24, something like that. Philly does need to win. Of course, they also need a Dallas loss for the division. Either way, they are in the playoffs. So it's a matter of, are they the 4 seed, I think, or the 6 or 7? Taking a nosedive. Giants almost beat them last time in Philly.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago they lost by 6 and had a chance to win the game out at the end there.
Win the game and a pick in the end zone.
And every time I pick
Taylor is a
Philly,
big step up from Tommy Cutlet. He's a little more mobile, a little more accurate, and he only played the second half, and he almost pulled it
yeah.
out.
I mean, and every time Eagles are like the Tampa Bay. Every time I pick them, they lose. So,
so you're picking
but
them.
they have to start improving somehow. And after last week's loss, which was embarrassing, I just think they got to come out and smoke somebody sooner or later. And it's got to be
if
this
they're going
week.
to do that, this is it. So
I'll take the Eagles across the board and over.
okay. Rams, Niners. Purdy is sitting. McCaffrey is hurt, but I think he could play if they needed to win. They don't, so he's sitting. The Rams, I think, are figuring they're in the playoffs because, which I think they are, no matter what happens.
They're in the playoffs.
They are sitting Matthew Stafford. And are you ready for this? Return from the dead. Here comes Carson Wentz. Your starting quarterback for the Rams this weekend is Carson. I almost beat the Rams by myself. Wentz, in his one good year as an NFL quarterback until he got hurt, has a Super Bowl ring from watching on crutches or his walking boot or whatever. Hasn't been able to stay with another team since. They grabbed him off his sofa to put him on the roster because somebody else had gotten hurt. Well, Stafford had gotten hurt for a little while, and he brought somebody else in, and then either he got hurt or didn't play well. And before Stafford came back, they signed Wentz, but then Stafford came. So he hasn't played it down for the Rams yet. He will be doing that for the first time on Sunday against, some would say, if not the number 1 team, probably the number 2 team in the NFL. That being said, they are sitting Purdy, their quarterback, and McCaffrey, who may be the best all-around player, if not the best all-around running back in the league. But I look at it as a battle of the backup quarterbacks. And Sam Darnold, I think, is better than Carson Wentz. And I don't think it's that close. And now he's had a year to play under Shanahan, or at least practice, and has gotten a few plays. Right. I think Sam Darnold will take the Niners to victory anyway. And like we said, the Rams are starting Wentz, so they don't give a rat's ass. The Niners are picked by 4. I took them across the board to cover, and I took the over.
Yeah, I did the same thing because I'm not picking Carson Wentz.
Yeah, that's the other part. Is he is almost like a bad movie. He's box office poison. Of course, watch him come out and have the game of his life and save his career. But if he does that, good for him.
Yeah,
You know, uh, I don't even know if Nick Foles has been on a roster all season, but I would have looked at him first before I would have looked at Wentz.
yeah. I don't think Foles is on
I
anybody's
don't think
roster.
he's on a roster. But I mean, don't get me wrong. Is he your answer? No, but Wentz definitely is to me. If it's A, B, C, D, and Wentz is in the answer and Foles, it's like none of the above. I would know. True, false. Carson Wentz is good enough to play for you. False. I
Mhm.
just don't see it. He doesn't have Doug Peterson to get him through anymore. So
Yeah, yeah.
all right. Denver, Vegas. I took Vegas is picked by 3. It's a 37 over under. Vegas's offense isn't great. Denver's defense is good. Denver's quarterback situation, we all know by now, is I don't even think they let Russell Wilson on the sideline. I think he's like home with, Sierra and the kids.
Hmm.
Um, he's not saying go Bronx anymore. Um, where he will be next year, who knows? Somebody will grab him. He's got a guaranteed 30 some $1 million next year, no matter what.
Hmm.
So Denver's probably hoping they can figure something out, but for now, he is not in Denver's plans. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. Uh, but I think Vegas is going to win it. I think the Raiders will win it somehow. No, I don't. I have Denver winning the game, but Vegas covering, which is weird because it's only 3 points. I really think it'll be a push as well.
Denver's +3, so you would be getting the points.
Yeah, with Vegas, I'd be getting the points, right? Yeah, I have
No,
it written.
no, Denver's getting the
Denver's getting the points.
yeah.
Yeah,
So if you're
yeah,
taking
that's what I
Denver, you're
have.
getting a 3.
So I have Vegas covering. I have Vegas, so I have it.
Are you are you
I'll tell you
taking
what
Vegas or you're
you
not
know what
taking
I'm doing? I'm just screw the confusion. And you never know, this could be the do or die game to break our which one's going to win more. I'm going to take Vegas across the board, but the under. Even though it's 37, which is low as hell for an NFL game, Vegas has proved they can win without offense. And they may
Yeah.
do that here. Stidham may see a
Right.
good defense that he can't handle for Denver, though he's probably playing for a chance at the starting job, if not there, somewhere else as well. But
Yeah.
he put up good numbers last week. So
No, absolutely. And this was another coin flip, which the coin flip landed on the Raiders, myself, and the over.
Vegas over. And I could see the over. Obviously, I think 37 is low, but I think two pretty good defenses.
Hmm.
Vegas is really good at takeaways. And if Antonio Pierce doesn't get that job for Vegas, then somebody should take Mark Davis out to a wood chipper if you're a Vegas fan, because that would be so wrong. I mean, what
Hmm.
he's done with that team the second half of the season since getting the job is remarkable. And he didn't waste no time. He got hired, and there were 2 or 3 guys. You're gone. You're going. Cut him. Gone. 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 And put young guys in there, and they're fighting. He's got them. I look at him and Dan Campbell in that same vein. Like when Dan Campbell said, "We'll bite your knees off," whatever. Pierce the same way, man. He gets them fired up. Give me your best effort. He's gung ho and ready to go. And I think that's the good part about you got both of those guys were tough as nail players when they played. And that's their whole attitude in life. And that, to me, if you get a guy that's got some knowledge, and has that attitude, that's what you need in the NFL
Mhm.
as a head
Yeah.
coach. I am an anti-Raider guy. Let's face it. We know that because I'm a Chiefs fan. You have to be. That's part of it's in your blood. But looking at it logically, you have to say that I don't think anybody could do a better job than Antonio Pierce for the Raiders.
Right.
And he grew up there. He's a hometown boy. So
Hmm.
last and you took the Raiders in the over, right? Yes. That's what I got here.
Yes.
Last and definitely not least, maybe and probably, well, it is the game of the day because both teams have to start their starters and play tough. Sunday night football, the last game of the week. There's no Monday night football this week. The Buffalo Bills go to Miami. It's a 48-point over under. It's a 2.5-point spread for Buffalo to win the game. The winner wins the AFC East and is, I believe, the number 2 seed behind Baltimore.
Yes.
I think the loser, Miami, is still in the playoffs, even if they lose. But they want that home game badly. Buffalo, meanwhile, most scenarios still have them in the playoffs if they lose. But they would be like the bottom seed, the 7th seed.
Right.
This game, I think, will tell us if Buffalo is the scariest team to face right now because they have been on a roll. And I'm telling you now, I am crossing out. I had under for this at 48, but I'm changing it to over. Even though both defenses have improved over the course of the season. I'm taking Buffalo to cover across the board. I'm taking the over. Like I said, I just changed it. I think it's more going to be a shootout than anything else. They both have
Yeah.
weapons.
This is a great game to see, to
Yep.
watch.
Yep.
It's a playoff game, basically.
It basically
So
is. Right. The winner gets that home game.
Buffalo's been the hotter team. They
Yep.
were at one point, what, 7-6. I think they were 500 at one.
Yeah.
And Miami is starting to show their colors a little bit.
Yeah. They got some
Not,
weakness.
not
Waddle's hurt, right?
scoring. Yeah.
Is Waddle done?
Waddle's hurt. Yeah, I'm not sure if he's out, but he was out last week. I like their running game, Miami, but I just think Buffalo is the hotter team, and we'll go with the across the board Buffalo and the over also.
The other part about that is, and I did that too, is Buffalo, since they switched offensive coordinators, has run the ball more with James Cook, like quite a bit more. And that has seemed to have led to a better offense overall. Because now you do have to watch the running game, which is going to open up some play action stuff. It's going to open up for Josh Allen to run a little bit, but he doesn't have to run as much. You're not risking him getting hurt as often. And he's still a beast. Don't get me wrong. I think Tua has proven 2 things this season. One, he can stay healthy. If he plays and finishes this game, he'll have finished a full season for the first time. That's great. After what he went through last year with the concussions and everything, you were scared for more than his football life. You got scared for his quality of life afterwards. I mean, concussions, so many of them in such a short amount of time. I think it's great that he's got a chance to be good. He's all pro caliber this season. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's got the weapons, but that's what every team is supposed to try and do. I mean, Waddle, Hill, Gesicki, the running game, like you said, which has made it easier for him to not have to stand back in the pocket, take a hit, that quick release. And he's mobile as well. So he's actually a weapon with his legs as well. But I will say he doesn't have to run as much, which is great for him.
Right.
So I agree with you. They're both, to me, both quarterbacks are beasts in two different ways. Miami does have a little bit better running game, but Buffalo's running game has improved a lot. I don't know why intangibles, I think, go Buffalo's way. So that's why I took them in the over. And
Yeah. And also, like you said, with the running game for Buffalo, Josh Allen's numbers haven't been that great because he's not
no,
throwing 300 yards games, and he's lucky to
he's
get
had
over 200
turnovers like
some of
crazy too this season.
in the
I think he leads
turnovers.
the league
So,
in turnovers. If
yeah,
not,
but
if
it's
not,
gonna
then
be
somebody caught him.
definitely gonna be an exciting game to watch.
That should be the best game of the day. It is definitely the most desirable game of the day, looking at it on paper. There's a couple other ones that could be pretty good, but that one, I mean, Minnesota, Detroit could be a good game. Seattle and Arizona, maybe. But yeah, you're right. That might be Houston and Indy could
And
be a
Houston
really
and
good
the
game. Yeah, that's the one and that's the one on paper. It says 1.5. So that's the one on paper that everybody thinks is most competitive of the day. So, but yeah, and even Chicago Green Bay, if Chicago plays well enough, could be a good game. But so there are your NFL picks. Bill and I would go over it. We both took Pittsburgh. No, we didn't. Our first game's a difference game. Bill took Baltimore. I took Pittsburgh. We both took the over 34.5. We took those teams across the board. Bill took Indy. I took Houston. I took under 47.5. Bill took the over. The point spread's only 1.5, so that's going to be interesting. Winner could win their division, and I think either way, the winner probably gets in the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. We both took Jacksonville over Tennessee. We both took the over. That could change if Lawrence is not going to play for Jacksonville, but we'll see. We both took Tampa Bay over Carolina, and with that, Tampa Bay would win the division. Bill took over 37.5. I took under. Detroit, Minnesota. I took Detroit across the board. Bill took Detroit to win, Minnesota to cover the 3.5-point spread, and 45.5 over under. We both took the over. New Orleans, Atlanta. Bill took over 42. I took under it. But we both took New Orleans over across the board over 3 points. Cincinnati, Cleveland. Cincinnati favored by 7 because Cleveland is sitting people they don't even have on the roster. That's how many people they're sitting. So Bill took Cincinnati to cover the 7-point spread. I took Cincinnati to win, but Cleveland to cover. So Bill thinks Cincinnati will win by more than 7. And he's
Yeah,
probably
I took Cincinnati to win, but yeah, Cleveland. I think I think this was the same. We did the same on that, right? We both took the Bengals.
no, I had it opposite, but I can change it. You want
Yeah, we
the
both got the
Bengals to
Yeah, we
win,
both got the
Cleveland to
Bengals.
cover?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I thought we had it. I even have it marked as a difference, but that no.
I had the under, yeah, the over.
Gotcha. Yeah, you did have the under. I got the over. All right. So we're the same on that, except for the over under. Jets, New England in the traditional Why Bother Bowl. New England picked by 2.5. I took New England to win, cover, and go over the 30.5 spread. Bill took the Jets and the over as well. Difference in teams, but we both took the over. 45-point over under. We both took Green Bay in the under, which is a 3.5-point spread. Wouldn't surprise me if Chicago wins, but I just think Green Bay's got more to play for. Kansas City and the Chargers, 3.5-point spread for the Chargers because Kansas City's sitting more people than Cleveland. But I still think because San Diego's in such a mess that it'll be San Diego. See, I did it. I don't care. To me, they'll always be San Diego. The Chargers are such a mess. Went with the over 35 because I just think that's basically a low for any NFL game. But we both took the Chiefs across the board and the over. Dallas, Washington, just a hunch that Washington's going to try and play it close. Otherwise, we both have Dallas winning. Bill took Dallas to cover the 13-point spread, and we both took over the 47-point over under. Seattle, Arizona. I took Arizona. Bill took Seattle. Bill took over the 48-point spread. I took the under. And that's across the board. We took those teams. Been fighting in this was my fight. Philly and Arizona. I took Philly across the board, or not Philly, Arizona. I took the Giants. Let me get it straight. Philly and the Giants. I took Philly across the board with the over, as did Bill. The over is 42. The point spread's 5.5. Starting to lose it, pal. I'm hanging on. Let me see. Rams, Niners in the backup quarterback bowl here. Carson Wentz starting for the Rams. I think that guarantees a win for the Niners by itself. We both took the Niners. We both took over 41. Niners are still picked by 4, which will tell you even Vegas agrees with us, I think. Wentz is starting, like we said, for the Rams. Purdy is sitting for the Niners. McCaffrey's sitting for the Niners. Sam Darnold is starting at quarterback for the Niners. And I think he's better than Carson Wentz. So we both took the Niners and the over. Denver, and I'll be honest, I had the Rams winning the game until I heard it was Carson Wentz. I was like, whoever the backup is can't beat. Oh, he sucks. And I changed it to the Niners. Vegas, Denver. We both took Vegas by more than 3 to win, cover. It's a 37-point over under. Bill took over that. I took under. And the game of the week, Miami and Buffalo in Miami, 48-point spread. We both took the over. We both took Buffalo. Buffalo's picked by 2.5. We think they'll cover. That's
here's something.
Go ahead.
Here's something interesting. I was just looking.
Uh-huh.
I have a 4-game lead on you in picks, and we got 4-game difference.
Yeah. So it's going to be.
So it's either going to be a win,
4 games difference in picks,
or a tie.
I think we did. Oh, the first 2 we did right away. Baltimore, Indy,
Yes.
I took Pittsburgh, Houston. That's 2. The first 2 games of the day right there.
Jets, Patriots.
Oh yeah, Jets, Patriots. If New England wins, then you get the Jets. Do we have a 4th one?
And then your Cardinals,
Seattle,
Seahawks.
Arizona. Seattle, Arizona is 1. And that's actually it. So we have exactly 4 games difference.
Yes.
So we could either end in a tie, stay close to where we are, or one could win by 4.
Yeah.
One could win 3 and win the whole thing by a game, as far as picks are concerned. So it's going to be interesting. Yeah, you're right. So you know what the tiebreaker could be? If it's a tie, it could be Monday night's NCAA championship game. It could come down to who wins the national championship Monday night. We'll know Monday night what our total records are. And it is Michigan picked by 4.5 over Washington. The over-under is 56 points. They are expecting some scoring there. And I think I agree with them. There will be a lot of scoring. Who do you like, Bill? Though we don't really follow the college game.
Yeah, I don't follow it either. I mean, I only been following Michigan because of the Harbaugh thing.
Exactly.
Michigan is favored by 4.5.
Yeah.
Where's the game being played at?
It's a neutral site. I don't know. I think I want to say it's in Atlanta in the Dome, but I'm not sure. I could be wrong in that. Let me see. Let's go.
They're both undefeated.
Yeah, they're both undefeated. So it'll be the first time ever that a team is at least 15-0 to win the national championship.
But I think I'm going to take the over.
Over 56? Yeah, I think I'm with you on that one. Let's see where.
As far as who's going to win.
National scores, where is it? All right, you know what? I'll just Where's national championship? Where is Monday night?
So I guess how we could say it is if we're tied going into Monday night, we should pick opposite teams.
Yeah,
Or
if
we
it's,
could
yeah, I guess
or
we'd
we
have
could
to. But or we could just go, you know what? Integrity tells me I'm just gonna be honest with it. Houston, actually. It's played in Houston,
in Houston.
at quote unquote NRG Stadium. So I guess that's the home of the Titans normally, I guess.
Yeah.
I think it's
I
an
think I'm
outdoor
gonna go
stadium.
yeah.
That surprises me in a way, because they usually like to guarantee against bad weather. But I like the fact that it's an outdoors game.
Yeah. I
Uh,
think I think I like Michigan here only because of the Harbaugh thing. This could be his last college game
that part's
before he
true.
heads to the pros. And
Win Michigan.
I'm
Okay.
gonna go with Michigan.
All right. You want them to cover as well?
Uh, yeah, it may not be. It could be closer game, but I'm not sure. 4.5. You know what? Let's take Washington with the points.
You're going
In
to
case
take
it's a field goal
Washington
game.
to cover, and you said you're going over, right?
Yes.
All right. So, God, I hate to agree with you. You know what it is I'm rooting for Michigan. But I'm rooting so much it's hard to go against them, though Washington's offense is pretty good. Their defense isn't great. Defense wins championships. Michigan's defense is definitely better. But this kid, Penix, is really good. Uh so that we can have, well, see, picks, it would be identical. Well,
Yeah, we'll end at a tie no matter what. If we're
yeah,
tied going
I
into
got
Monday night.
I just gotta go with Michigan, buddy. I don't I it's hard. But I will say, because I think of what you said actually, is that Michigan is, they're going to play for their coach and they love him and rah, rah, rah. I think they want to come out and send a message. So I will pick Michigan to cover instead of Washington. And I think you're right. I think over under is done deal. 56. Yeah. In college, 56 is kind of a right about the barrier. I think that's actually a good pick by Vegas at 56, 55,
Yeah.
56 is probably right.
I think Michigan can be up by 10 and then Washington scores a late,
You
like a
might be
Hail
right.
Mary touchdown or
Yeah,
something like
you could
that.
be. Yeah, or they get a drive and with 13 seconds left, they get, they try an onside kick or something. Yeah, you're right. So, um,
All right.
all right, so there it is. That will be the end of the regular season in the NFL, and of course, the end of the NCAA season completely. Um, we have exactly 4 games difference in picks in the odds. Um, let me see. We got 1, we got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 games difference on the spread. So that's pretty good too, because we're so close there. That's
Yeah, you
gonna,
got a 2 game. I think you got a 2 game lead on me there.
yeah. But but if you win 6, I only win 4, we're back. You're back. It's a tie again. So we'll see. But it's always really, really close at the end of the season for us. It really
Hmm.
is. 2 different methods. That's why we do the show, folks. 2 different methods. Give you updates as we go. This is a longer show because of all the variables this week. As always, it seems to be opening week and closing week of the NFL season. We kind of apologize for that, but this is all stuff that did have to be covered if you pay attention to the NFL. Obviously, some shorter shows should be coming because over half of these teams will be gone after this week, and there'll be just playoff games to pick. So
Yep.
until Super Bowl Sunday. Then we're going to revamp things. We'll let you guys know during the season how we're going to do it. Try to make it shorter for you guys to watch. So it's a little more interesting, and we'll go from there. Bill, unless you have anything else sports wise overall,
No, I think we're good.
I think we're good. I mean, NBA, you got same old thing right now. Joel Embiid's playing out of his mind. The Lakers are below 500. Yay. I can't. I'm just not a LeBron fan. It's me. I know. Probably nicest guy in the world. Never met him. Don't know him. Just seems like a whole lot to do about, attitude wise. Draymond Green is practicing with the Warriors because they're thinking that he's going to be reinstated maybe as early as this week.
Yeah, I'm
So,
surprised at that.
well, it'll be 12 to 15 games by the time he gets back. They thought over 10. It's been 11, or will be 11 this weekend. So he's allowed to practice. He's been allowed to practice, but they, quote unquote, Steve Kerr said that he needed time away and we needed time apart as well. So maybe they did say, go chill, get some counseling. Probably he had to meet certain NBA criteria, so maybe there was an anger management thing. It wouldn't surprise me. We'll never know, but he had to
Right.
go through some things for the NBA for them to let him back. So it's coming. It's a matter of when. I think it'll be this week. He's allowed to practice. Has always been, but it was like when John Morant was out, he was allowed to practice with Memphis the whole time, which I didn't know. So there you have it. That's basically it. Everything else is sports wise is going along like it normally does. No real big news on the baseball front, and as of late, we'll see some things coming, I'm sure, once regular season ends and the hot stove baseball winter meetings kick in February. If you got nothing else, Bill, I say let's sign off. We thank Dennis and the folks at Vineland Realty Corporation, 634 East Landis Avenue in Vineland. Remember their number 856-690-9482 for all your residential and business property needs. Go see Dennis and the folks at 634 East Landis Avenue. That's Vineland Realty Corporation. You got anything else, Bill?
No, we're good to go, brother.
All right, let's get out of here. For my pal Billy Smith, we are sitting in the cheap seats watching all these games for you, and we'll be watching them again this week. And hopefully, Carolina's owner isn't sitting behind us to pour crap on us. I don't want no liquid poured on me.
Thanks, folks.
That's it. So thanks, folks. We will talk to you next week after all this with our playoff show. It's getting ready. This is week 18, the final week of the NFL season. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We will see you next week. Something's going on here, folks.